Welcome to the 34th teleconference of the WMO Coordination Group on Satellite Data Requirements for Regional Associations 3 and 4. Thank you for joining the call today. I'm Diego Souza from EMPE, Brazil, focal point on SDR for Regional Association 3. And we also have with us our colleague Marcial Garbanzo from the University of Costa Rica, focal point on SDR for Regional Association 4. This is our second teleconference this year. And if you missed the previous teleconferences, like the one you had in July, you may find all the content from the past 33 calls and 5 face-to-face meetings at the SDR Group's webpage at this link here, with all the recordings, minutes, and all the presentations. Okay, and you may also find other relevant information like supporting documents, a list of the SDR actions and recommendations, and resources from other task teams like the Data Processing and Visualization Task Force and the Regional Meteorological Satellite that we will hear some updates later in this call. And this is the agenda for today's call. First, we will welcome and introduce the participants, and we should have some new participants attending the SDR call for the first time. Then we will have some presentations related to the Early Warnings for All initiative with an overview of what it is, because some of you will hear about it for the first time. We will see the current status and updates of this initiative, and we will share the results of a recent questionnaire distributed to target countries identified, especially the questions relevant to satellite data utilization, right, which are related to the objectives of the SDR group. We will hear the perspectives from some of the target countries, and Barbados and Ecuador will present today, followed by an open discussion with some preliminary ideas for a working plan on how this group, the SDR group, may contribute to the Early Warnings for All objectives. And we would like to hear your suggestions. After that, we will see a couple of very nice examples of interaction between the SDR community related to a recent data request from our colleagues from Mexico, and also another case related to GEONETCast-Americas. Then we will see the current status of the Latin American Meteorological Satellite Working Group. We had a workshop recently, and this project is advancing. So we will see what the next steps will be. And we will finish with the updates on upcoming and recent capacity building activities. And as you can see, we have many topics to discuss today. So let's begin introducing the participants of this teleconference. We have 21 participants for now, and I'm seeing Abdiel Vasquez from Panama. Hello, Abdiel, can you hear us?
Yes, hello.
Hello.
It's a place.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Abdiel. We cannot hear you very well, but thank you for joining us today. It's very important to have a participant from Panama in this group. We also have Matt Arquette. Hello, Matt, from Environment Canada.
Hello.
Hi, Matt.
Very good to see everybody.
Thank you. Camilo Barahona from Chile. Hi, Camilo. Hola.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for the invitation.
Gracias, Camilo.
Hola, Camilo. Gracias.
Gracias.
Gracias a ustedes.
Bernie Connell. Hi, Bernie.
Hi, Diego. Nice to join in. Sounds like a packed agenda.
Yeah. Thank you. Daniel Villa from WMO.
Hi, everybody. A pleasure to be here every time.
Hola, Diana Rodriguez from Argentina.
Hi, everybody. I work in the remote sensing with my partner Martin at the Meteorological Service of Argentina. It's a pleasure to stay here. Thank you.
Thank you. Gracias, Diana. Edison Cruz from Inami, Ecuador. Hi, Edison. Hola.
Hello, everyone.
Saludos desde INAMI, de Ecuador. Me acompaña junto a mí Sandra Torres también.
Muchas
Hola,
gracias.
Sandra. Gracias.
Gusto poder estar nuevamente reunidos.
Gracias, Sandra.
Gaby Gomez. Hola, Gaby, from Mexico.
Hi, good morning. It's
Morning.
as always, a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Heikki Pojola from WMO. Hello, Heikki. Are you there?
I'm here. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Nice to see you for a while.
Thanks, Heikki.
John Cornicelli. Hi, John.
Hey, everybody. We'll give you a quick update on GEONETCast-Americas products upgrades that we're doing.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Dr. Lawrence Polone. Hi, Lawrence.
Yes, morning, everybody. It's
Morning.
a pleasure to be here. I was here because I'm going to be sitting in for Miss Caesar until she comes back. I've been attached to the CIMH for the past 18 years, originally from St. Lucia. And we have my role as it relates to disaster and risk impact forecasting is to provide daily weather brief to our sister entity, the CDEMA, Caribbean Disaster and Emergency Management Association. And whenever there is an impending weather system, we do provide them with the impact forecast so that they can use to develop their scenarios. We're going to be presenting a presentation later on to show what we've been doing in that regard.
Thank you very much, Lawrence.
Thank you, Lawrence. Lorenzo from Suriname, joining us for the first time. Hi, Lorenzo. Can you hear us?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you, Diego, for the invitation. I'm very glad that we as a Met service from Suriname can participate on the SDR teleconference. So we're hoping there will be many more for us to participate as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Martin Rugna from SMN Argentina. Hello, Martin. Hola.
Hola a todos. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Diego, for the introduction. And it's always nice to continue this tradition of having these meetings.
Thank you, Martin. Natalia Donahoe. Hi, Nat. Can you hear us?
Hey, hola.
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 See all friends and new friends. So good to be here. So unfortunately, I'm only available for the first part of the meeting, but that being said, so glad to reconnect with you. Thanks.
Thanks, Nat.
Thanks.
We also have Oriana Vilar from No One Has This. Hello, Oriana.
Hi, good morning. Buenos dias.
Morning. Buenos dias.
Just wanted to say this is my first time attending this meeting, so really looking forward to learning more and hearing everybody. Thanks so much for the intro.
Thank you. We have Satesh from Guyana, also attending for the first time. Hello, Satesh. Can you hear us?
Hi, good morning. Hi, good morning to everyone. Yes, I'm here, you guys. I want to say thank you for having me a part of this meeting, and hopefully it can continue as the year progresses and as the future. Thank you guys for having me here.
Thank you, Satesh.
Thanks for attending.
Steve Goodman. Hi, Steve.
Hola, good morning. We just completed a 3-day GLM science meeting. Unfortunately, our USP participants weren't able to attend and present, but we've recorded all of the talks for the first time. I will send you the link that you can share. And Dan Lindsay gives a talk giving an update on Goes U, which launches April 30th. And also the plans for GOES 19 to become GOES East and replace GOES 16. So that will be obviously of interest to all of South America. And you can watch the recordings that I'll send out to you in a minute.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Yes. Good to see everyone.
Please send the link of the recordings on the chat window so we can share with the others.
Yep. Yeah, I'll do that as soon as you're done talking to me.
Thank you. Shamal Clark. Hi, Shamal. Can you hear us?
Good morning. Yes, I'm hearing you.
Morning. Thank you for joining. I think we have introduced everyone, so thank you. I We really appreciate your participation. And then if I have missed someone, please let us know.
William?
Soya.
William, oh, sorry. William, are you there?
Also.
Hello, everyone. Hola, Diego. Good morning, everyone. It's very nice to be here with all you, con you all.
Muchas gracias. Perdón, por algún motivo mi lista de participantes no estaba incompleta. Perdón, sorry. And Zoya Andreva from WMO. Hi, Zoya.
Oh, hi. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all again. Yeah, have a good meeting.
Thank you. Thanks. All right. We really appreciate your participation, and your suggestions and comments during this call are welcome and very important. And if you're from Spanish-speaking countries and you would like to comment but doesn't feel comfortable to do it in English, you may comment in Spanish and we will do our best to translate. Entonces, si alguien desea hacer comentarios o preguntas en español durante la teleconferencia, no hay problemas. Pueden hacer vuestros comentarios en español y vamos a intentar traducir lo que sea posible. ¿Ok? Bueno, muy bien, excellent. As we have seen, we have some new participants from RA3 and RA4 countries, Suriname, Panama, Guyana, and others. So let me, just to provide some context, let's very briefly introduce the mission of the group. And basically the mission of this group is to act as a bridge between satellite operators and us, users. So we try to facilitate this communication, right, between agencies like NOAA, CONAI, NPE, EUMETSAT, and regional users. And the group also addresses users' concerns and try to facilitate the use of satellite data throughout the region. So, for example, today we will discuss the Early Warnings for All initiative, right? And we will see that some countries are not using satellite data to monitor some of the hazards that have been listed as priority. So why is that happening? How can we as a group help these countries to access, process, interpret, and utilize satellite information? So that's the mission of our group. And here we have a timeline with relevant information, so you may have a high-level overview of the group's history. We have been working on 39 actions and recommendations from 5 face-to-face meetings, and this is our teleconference number 34, right? We will not get into much detail because we do not have the time today. But in the group's webpage, here, sdr.ucr.ac.cr, you have detailed presentations on the main achievements of the group since the beginning in 2013, and a recording describing these achievements, the terms of reference, the SDR members, the data access mechanisms used by the community, actions and recommendations, the minutes of each one of the 33 past teleconferences, and the content from all face-to-face meetings, okay, and other supporting documents. These are the expected benefits of the group: identifying user needs for data products and training, ensure effective user-provider dialogue, find user-friendly and affordable arrangements for data access and distribution, prepare for the next generation of satellites like GeoXO, for example, and support operational services from data requirements to data utilization. And for your reference, in the group's webpage, we have a quick guide in English, Spanish, and Brazilian Portuguese, briefly describing the work of the SDR group. For now, we've had 5 face-to-face meetings, 2015, 16, 17, and 19, and the last one in 2022, where we had 31 participants from 19 countries, a great participation from the community. And since then, we have been working on several actions and recommendations that have been created or identified during and after our last face-to-face meeting, as you're going to see today. Okay, so this was a very brief introduction to the SDR group for new members. And now let's begin. Let's begin our presentations and discussions of these 34th teleconference. And the first topic is the Early Warnings for All initiative. We have introduced this initiative on previous teleconferences, and just a reminder, you may find some slides describing each initiative that the SDR group is engaged with in the group's webpage under SDR supporting documents. So you have many slides, and in each slide, you have a brief description of each engagement, including the early warnings for all here, okay? And as you see, and Daniel will provide more details, Early Warnings for All is an international campaign to ensure that everyone on Earth have early warning systems by the end of 2027. And this initiative is important because half of countries have early warning systems in place, okay? And there are 4 key pillars for early warning systems: disaster risk knowledge, observation and forecasting, preparedness and response, and dissemination and communication. And WMO leads pillar number 2, okay? Observations and forecasting, and that's what we will be discussing today. And now let's invite Daniel Villa, Technical Coordinator of Infrastructure of the Regional Office for the Americas, to present the current status of this initiative. Daniel, you may share your screen.
Yes, but I believe you need to stop sharing.
I will stop. Okay, just stop it sharing mine.
Okay. Okay, just 1 second. I believe that everybody's looking my screen.
Yes, we can see it now.
Yes, I will try to do it as short as possible because Diego just mentioned a lot of things. So very fast, but very accurate, I would say. So this is just early warning for all. This was a strategic initiative approved in the last Congress. This is quite important because it's supported by all members of WMO, which is you know, the framework where we are working right now. Lo que quiero decir que esta es una iniciativa estratégica que fue aprobado por el último Congreso Meteorológico. Por lo tanto, digamos, eso es una cosa muy importante porque, digamos, nos permite a los miembros trabajar directamente en esta iniciativa. So, as mentioned by Diego, I believe I can speak in Spanish because all my slides are in English, so it's something mixed, but I guess that could work. Entonces, como decíamos anteriormente, como Diego también mencionaba, un background que tenemos, digamos, el secretario general en marzo del año 2022 pidió que realmente, digamos, todos los países del mundo tengan un servicio de alerta climática para proteger la vida en nuestra tierra, dentro de un plazo de los próximos 5 años, no 25, 5 años. Entonces, realmente es una iniciativa que tenemos que llegar a algún tipo, digamos, de resultado, por lo menos en 2027. Así que, digamos, tenemos que correr porque ya estamos prácticamente en 2024. Es decir, nos faltan apenas 4 años o un poquito menos. Este es un poco el timeline. This is the timeline of the initiative. You can see that in November last year, hace un año, comenzamos el periodo de implementación con algunas actividades que se están llevando a cabo. Una de ellas son los workshops regionales que vamos a hablar un poquito más adelante. Toda esta información está en un documento que se llama Executive Action Plan. Está en la librería, es decir, está online en la OMM. Y fue lanzado, como dije anteriormente, el año pasado en la COP. Y tuvo una gran recepción. Y luego fue refrendado por el Congreso el año pasado en mayo-junio. Así que, digamos, todo está en su lugar como para trabajar en esta iniciativa. Como dijo Diego, son 4 pilares. Disaster Risk Reduction, conocimiento del riesgo de desastre, detección, observaciones, monitoramiento y pronóstico de los eventos más importantes que afectan a los diferentes países, a los diferentes miembros. Luego es importante también cómo comunicamos y cómo diseminamos esa información, porque si tenemos una buena observación, si tenemos un buen pronóstico, pero no somos capaces de diseminarlo en forma adecuada, realmente de nada sirve. Y luego también las personas tienen que saber, digamos, qué hacer en relación a la recepción de una alerta. Entonces, para eso está el pilar 4, Preparedness and Reports Capabilities, es decir, las personas tienen que saber que ante una alerta o ante un hazard específico, qué es lo que tienen que hacer. Entonces, estos 4 pilares están íntimamente relacionados. Hay, como ustedes pueden ver, un dinero bastante importante. We have around $3.1 billion for the next, 4 years right now. So, and what is quite important is que este plan o esta iniciativa está centrada en la gente. Entonces, esto es, y no solamente está centrado en los riesgos de carácter hidrometeorológico, sino también de otro tipo de riesgos, como puede llegar a ser, bueno, tsunami, que de alguna manera están relacionados, pero también erupciones volcánicas, terremotos, etc. Entonces, lo importante de esta figura es que nosotros tenemos a la gente en el medio, digamos, teniendo en cuenta inclusive ciertas cuestiones que tienen que ver con minorías, con género, digamos, porque no todas las personas ante un determinado fenómeno responden de la misma manera, y también existen aspectos culturales en cada región o en cada país que tienen que también ser tomados en cuenta. Como dije anteriormente, esta no es una iniciativa solamente de la OMM. La OMM simplemente es el líder, y ni siquiera es el único, es simplemente el líder de la parte, digamos, del pilar 2. Y estamos trabajando con, obviamente, la Cruz y la Media Luna Roja, con ITU, que es la agencia de Naciones Unidas relacionada con las comunicaciones, y UNDRR, que es United Office for Disaster Risk Reduction. Entonces, es un esfuerzo conjunto, y que no es solamente estas agencias que nombré anteriormente, sino que también hay otras iniciativas y otras agencias que también están trabajando activamente en la iniciativa en diferentes aspectos, para realmente que realmente esto sea realmente un éxito. Entonces, lo importante aquí es, como estuve mencionando anteriormente, es que, digamos, todos estos 4 pilares que mencioné anteriormente estén relacionados. Es decir, que no se trabaje en forma de silos, sino que todos estos pilares estén de alguna manera relacionados, y por lo tanto las actividades puedan también llevarse, no solamente, digamos, no solamente que estén interrelacionados, sino que haya un downscaling, una bajada de esa información desde el nivel global hasta el nivel nacional, que de alguna manera hacer que los países, que los miembros realmente se apropien de estos sistemas y que deriven en planos nacionales de acción que estén realmente basados en las necesidades y las prioridades de los países, es decir, cuáles son los fenómenos que afectan más extensivamente o con mayor frecuencia a un determinado miembro. Entonces, dentro del pilar 2, un poco, y ya yendo más específicamente a lo que se trata de este grupo, que es trabajar con datos que provienen de sensores remotos, satélites en este caso. Si nosotros miramos los outcomes que tenemos para este pilar, digamos, lo que tenemos es Observation meet the data requirement to monitor high impact hazard. Obviamente aquí tenemos observaciones, y obviamente dentro de las observaciones están los satélites. Si bien necesitamos observaciones de superficie, observaciones de altura como radiosondeos y de otros elementos o de otro tipo de sensores, también necesitamos datos de satélites, y que juegan realmente un papel muy importante. En el Outcome 2 dicen HASTE Global Regional National Data Management and Processing for Forecasting and Warning System. Todos sabemos que la asimilación de datos en los modelos meteorológicos depende fuertemente de los datos obtenidos a partir de satélites. De hecho, en el mes próximo va a haber un workshop en Ginebra justamente que va a atacar esta cuestión específica. Entonces, digamos, nuevamente, en el Outcome 2 tenemos los datos de satélite que juegan un papel preponderante. que todos los hydromet hazards sean pronosticados, es decir, y aquí, digamos, por ejemplo, el tema, digamos, de eventos severos y del tema, por ejemplo, de estimación de lluvia, los satélites también juegan realmente un papel importante. Y luego hay otros, como estaba hablando anteriormente, en diseminar esos productos en forma eficiente y de una manera precisa, y no solamente, digamos, que llegue en el momento preciso, es decir, nosotros tenemos en nuestro trabajo que mejorar o disminuir la latencia de estos productos lo máximo posible, ya que, digamos, sobre todo en las cuestiones de pronóstico a cortísimo plazo, tiempo es oro, como quien diría. Entonces, es importante que, digamos, estos productos sean diseminados de una forma eficiente. Y luego, el Outcome 5 tiene que ver justamente con las políticas y los mecanismos institucionales y cómo nos podemos relacionar con los tomadores de decisiones para que realmente, de alguna manera, apoyen estos sistemas de alerta temprana. Lógicamente, esa iniciativa comenzó con 30 países, es decir, se buscaron 30 países alrededor del mundo, con diferentes criterios, de los cuales voy a nombrar en la próxima slide cuáles son los de nuestra región. Y se les pidió, digamos, que definan cuáles son las 5 primeras prioridades en relación a, digamos, fenómenos severos que afectan a un determinado miembro. Y donde vemos ahí, digamos, de estos 30 países, nosotros vemos que los flash floods es un tema importante, que las sequías es un tema importante, que las inundaciones ribereñas también son un tema importante. Lógicamente, los ciclones tropicales, más en nuestra región que incluye el Caribe. Y hay algunas otras cuestiones como, lógicamente, ligadas también con algunos de los fenómenos anteriores que tienen que ver con movimientos de tierra. Y, digamos, hay ciertas cuestiones también que nosotros a partir, digamos, de datos de satélites podemos realmente, si bien no tienen tanto peso, pero sí nosotros podemos colaborar mucho, como el tema de las cenizas volcánicas y como el tema también del monitoramiento de fuego, ¿sí? Entonces, pero digamos, ustedes pueden ver allí cuáles son las cosas más importantes. Ahora, lo que nosotros tenemos que hacer es, a nivel regional, determinar si realmente estos son los hazards los fenómenos más importantes que atañen a nuestra región. Recordemos que aquí estamos región 3 y región 4, o, digamos, hay algunos otros elementos aquí que no están contemplados, por ejemplo, ondas de frío o nieve, que lógicamente, como en estos primeros 30 países no había muchos países en altas latitudes, lógicamente el tema de nieve no va a aparecer aquí. Entonces, digamos, esas cosas se tienen que definir regionalmente o inclusive hasta subregionalmente. Dentro de los focus countries, tenemos en nuestra región 5 países: Ecuador, Guyana, Antigua y Barbuda, Barbados, Haití y Guatemala. Y bueno, comenzamos un poco a trabajar ya con ellos en diferente grado, a través de lo que le llaman los National Workshops. Entonces, primero se llevó a cabo un Rapid Assessment, que ya fue finalizado por los primeros 30 países, y luego Diego va a mostrar un poco los resultados compilados de qué es lo que, digamos, qué es lo que ese Rapid Assessment mostró para los 30 primeros países, en particular los 6 países de nuestras regiones. Después, lógicamente, se está trabajando obviamente en la coordinación interpilares con los coordinadores residentes de cada uno de los países, los country coordinators, y a partir de eso se está organizando los workshops. Digamos, hubo un primer intento de hacerlo en Guatemala, pero lamentablemente por cuestiones de huelgas no fue muy bien sucedido. Se va a repetir, El día 1 y 2 de noviembre fue efectivamente el primero en Barbados. Y tenemos 2 más en el pipeline. Uno que va a ser a fin de noviembre en Haití y el siguiente que va a ser en Antigua y Barbuda durante el mes de diciembre. Entonces, aquí un poco cuáles fueron las conclusiones de este primer taller, este primer, National Workshop que fue llevado a cabo en Barbados, digamos, cuáles fueron los objetivos. Definitivamente un evento de alto nivel, ya que nosotros vemos que ahí varios ministros estuvieron presentes en el workshop. Y ahí ya les dejo un poco una lista, digamos, de qué cosas se comienzan a trabajar, fundamentalmente en el tema de implementación y digamos, cómo coordinar las acciones interpilares. Y una cosa muy importante, realmente que los países se hagan como que asuman, se apropien de este sistema, de esta iniciativa y que lo lleven a cabo dentro de sus países. Esta es una foto de probablemente nuestro colega de Barbados puede reconocer el lugar. Tuvieron la participación de 50 representantes de 34 instituciones, de nacionales y regionales, y de diferentes agencias de Naciones Unidas. Y como le decía anteriormente, el próximo va a ser en Haití en noviembre del 2023, y luego viene Antigua y Barbuda en 2023. En diciembre. Está pensado algo en Ecuador probablemente para comienzos del año próximo. También fecha por definir, pero no creo que llegue más allá de febrero. Es importante también decir que en Ecuador y en todas las islas del Caribe se está llevando a cabo, y algunos de los miembros, se está llevando a cabo ahora el peer review process de la iniciativa SOF, que si bien no es parte de Early Warning for Oil, no es parte, digamos, en forma explícita, pero, digamos, forma parte, digamos, de, como mostré anteriormente, los programas que de alguna manera están aportando a Early Warning for All, es Systematic Observation Financing Facilities. Esta iniciativa de SOF tiende justamente a mejorar los sistemas de observación fundamentalmente de superficie y de altura para llegar a las metas de lo que se llama el Global Basic Observing System o Observing Network o GBON, y de alguna manera es una iniciativa que fortalece esa capacidad de los países. Pero, por ejemplo, no incluye ningún tipo, digamos, de apoyo a, por ejemplo, datos de satélite. Entonces, ahí tendríamos que buscar algunas otras opciones, ya que digamos, en particular, esa iniciativa no responde a la necesidad de datos de satélite. Entonces, eso simplemente, espero que haya sido lo suficientemente amplia como y que todo el mundo haya podido entender. Diego, contigo.
Muchas gracias, Daniel. Thank you very much, Daniel. Do we have any questions or comments related to the Early Warnings for All initiative and related to what Daniel just presented? ¿Tenemos alguna pregunta o comentario sobre la iniciativa que presentó Daniel ahora? Okay. If not, let me share my screen again. And let's briefly share with you the results of the rapid assessment related to pillar number 2, observation and forecasting, just to complement what Daniel presented, and you have a better idea of what's happening in the region. And basically, WMO conducted this rapid assessment of the hazard monitoring and forecasting capacity of the 30 countries selected for initial support under the Early Warnings for All initiative. And the results of this assessment have been published, and you may find them at this link here. Okay, and by the way, all the slides from this call will be available at the group's webpage soon. And as it was mentioned by Daniel, there's an initial list of 30 countries that have been announced as priorities. And from RA3 and RA4, we have Guyana, Haiti, Barbados, Antigua and Barbuda, Guatemala, and Ecuador. And we currently have SDR members from Barbados, Guatemala, and Ecuador. And today we have members from Guyana, I think, and which is good because this is a great opportunity to work with these countries, as satellite data plays a major role in early warning systems, as Daniel mentioned. And this is directly related to the objectives of the SDR group, right? And in this rapid assessment, we had some questions relevant to satellite data utilization. Basically, these 4 questions. What are the priority hazards in your country? What means do you use, if any, to access satellite data? Is your service using satellite data to monitor priority hazards in your country or territory? Are there staff trained on remote sensing data access and interpretation? And one question related to radars, right? Is your service using radar data to monitor priority hazards in your country? This is not related to satellite, but we kept this information here because many of us work with radar information as well, and we can also work together as a group to address these issues. Now let's see an overview of the answers from RA3 and RA4 countries that have been listed as priorities. Here you have the priority hazards as informed by these countries, and as Daniel mentioned, flash floods, riverine floods, drought, storm surge, thunderstorms, call lines, tropical cyclones, high seas, rogue waves, haze and smoke, landslides and mudslides, volcanic ash, and tsunamis, right? And here we see that some of these countries are not using satellite data to monitor some of these priority hazards. And in these tables here, we have in red the hazards that are not currently being monitored with satellite imagery in each country. And here is where I think the SDR group could help, because apart from satellite operators and regional data providers, in this group, we have regional experts and regional expert users that are already monitoring these hazards using satellite imagery, for example, and could share their experience. Also, we see that some countries currently only have access to satellite data using the internet and are not able to receive satellite data using ground stations, for example, and thus they do not have any redundancy, which is very important in these situations. And I think the SDR group could help with that as well, because maybe, for example, these countries, some of these countries that are not working, have stations that are not working or need maintenance, or they could need help on purchasing new systems. And in this group, we have members with sufficient knowledge to provide this kind of information and support. And with regard to training and capacity building, we can see on these tables here that for many of these priority hazards in red, these countries have indicated that they don't have enough training. And here we can help as well, because many of us are... Sorry? Oh, someone has his microphone activated.
It's Kathy. Kathy, can
Hi,
you turn
Kathy.
your mic off?
Hi, Kathy. And many of us are part of the, for example, of the VLab initiative. Marcial is the VLab TSO, Technical Support Officer. Bernie is one of the chairs, and some of our institutions are VLab Centers of Excellence in Satellite Meteorology. And we also have the satellite workshops organized by NOAA and WMO, and regional institutions and many other initiatives. So as we can see, the needs are well identified, and it's possible to work as a group to have some actions to address these issues and provide supports in terms of data access, processing, and training. Right, and that's what we are going to see, and that's what we are going to discuss in the open discussion. But before that, to give more context to our discussion, let's hear the perspectives from some of the target countries. And today we will have presentations from Barbados and Ecuador. And now let's invite Dr. Lawrence Polon to present the perspectives from Barbados. Lawrence, you may share your screen. I will stop sharing mine. Go ahead, Lawrence. You can share your slides.
I think Kathy is also here.
Or Kathy,
I'm not sure if Kathy Ann is going to take over.
Okay.
Yeah. Kathy, are you here? Kathy. Kathy Ann. She was having some issues.
I could see her in the list.
Yes, Kathy is on the list, but she's probably not hearing us.
Yeah.
Lawrence, maybe if you want to, we can get Ecuador first and then Barbados.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But I was trying to share my screen and it doesn't work.
While we hear the presentation from Ecuador, you can send me your presentation, and I can share here in my computer after the presentation from Ecuador. Okay, Lawrence?
Okay. Your email?
I will send it on the chat.
On the chat. Okay. All right. Good.
Okay.
Great.
Edison, ¿quieres
Sí,
presentar?
estoy listo. A ver, voy a compartir pantalla.
Adelante.
A ver si allí la pueden mirar.
Sí, adelante.
¿Se puede ver la pantalla?
Sí, problema.
Estoy listo. Si se puede, todos me escuchan con claridad, pueden mirar la pantalla.
Explicamos y vemos. Todavía no está en modo presentación, pero adelante.
Ya la puse en modo de presentación.
Vemos como si estuviera como para editarla. Tienes dos pantallas, tal vez tienes que presionar el botón de invertirlas en el otro.
No, dejar de compartir. Ahora compartir.
Edison, quizá cuando compartiste tu pantalla, compartiste solamente una ventana y no tu pantalla completa. Entonces puedes compartir otra vez con la pantalla completa y entonces vamos a ver la presentación maximizada, creo.
Ahí.
Adelante, listo.
Perfecto, muy bien.
Sí, pantalla completa, correcto.
Sí.
Sí, adelante.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry, I'm going to talk in Spanish, the description of these slides, because not to lose any important details, so I prefer to speak in Spanish, okay? If we need a translation, Diego, let me know, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Buenos días. Bien. Respecto de el estatus actual de Ecuador respecto a Early Warning for All, tengo los reportes de dos direcciones técnicas de INAMI. La una es la Dirección de Pronósticos y Alertas Hidrometeorológicas, quienes a este momento nos manifiestan como algo de lo más importante. Los sistemas de alerta en su totalidad a nivel del país no están integrados, que es uno de los pilares que citaba precisamente Daniel. Dado que INAMI nos encargamos solamente de las actividades como Servicio Nacional de Meteorología e Hidrología, el sistema integrado está liderado por la Secretaría de Gestión de Riesgos acá en el Ecuador. Entonces, tienen que unirse la información de organismos como el Instituto Geofísico, el Instituto Oceanográfico de la Armada, como actores principales, aparte de INAMI como servicio meteorológico. Por otra parte, y otro de los pilares que también mostraba Daniel, todavía encontramos una brecha significativa en la difusión en los medios de comunicación de estos boletines de alerta temprana. INAMI hace su parte, sin embargo, como pueden ver más adelante, tenemos problemas en estandarización de productos y principalmente pensando en la información correcta que debe ponerse en redes sociales. Sí, al momento en lo que es meteorología.
Get in Dynamics too. That's in Dynamics too.
Perdón.
No, adelante, continúa.
Ok, la dirección de pronósticos de este momento para meteorología tiene los pronósticos de tiempo que está previsto hacerlo para las 48 y 12 horas de anticipación, ¿sí? Y esto es una parte de estos sistemas de alerta temprana. Las alertas hidrológicas al momento se están generando con productos de las plataformas GeoGlows y WSAFFGS y del análisis de la observación de la red meteorológica de superficie. En cuanto a la información de la red hidrometeorológica de superficie, también al momento la institución se está encargando a través de un proyecto de inversión para rehabilitar la mayor cantidad de redes automáticas que tenemos disponibles nosotros. Y como indicaba, la actualización de los formatos de emisión de los boletines es lo que también se está trabajando, pensando más en redes sociales. Una perspectiva a futuro en el corto plazo es entrar a elaborar boletines de alerta temprana entre 3 y 6 horas de anticipación, pensando sobre todo a cubrir las necesidades de eventos que se desarrollen en la noche y madrugada, y principalmente esto, digo en el corto plazo, porque estamos previstos de que se inicie una temporada niño a partir de diciembre aproximadamente. Sí, es más que nada ese el objetivo. Bien, para no hacerle muy largo voy a continuar. Los sistemas de alerta temprana, insistimos, deben integrarse en un formato y eso es lo que tiene que verse en forma conjunta con las otras instituciones como indicaba. La Dirección de Estudios, Investigación, Desarrollo. Actualmente estamos trabajando en un programa de fuego regional de Sudamérica y precisamente Sandra, quien me acompaña, es la encargada de esto. Este programa de fuego regional está auspiciado por el Servicio Forestal de Estados Unidos y también por la Agencia para el Desarrollo de Estados Unidos. Y se trabaja en conjunto con el Ministerio de Ambiente, Agua y Transición Ecológica del Ecuador, el INAMI como tal y la Secretaría de Gestión de Riesgos. De este trabajo se tiene al momento establecida la zonificación del Ecuador con base a características ambientales y reportes oficiales de incendios o registros oficiales de incendios. De esta manera, esta herramienta ha facilitado un estudio comparativo de las variables meteorológicas y su interrelación con los índices de peligro diferentes que existen y comprender la variabilidad en el territorio, principalmente sabiendo que Ecuador está cruzado en forma totalmente transversal norte-sur por la cordillera de los Andes, estableciendo distintos pisos altitudinales y evidentemente la variada vegetación que esto registra, empezando a nivel del mar y terminando por sobre los 4.000 metros sobre el nivel del mar. Esta zonificación y producto de este primer análisis se ha dividido al territorio ecuatoriano en 9 zonas, teniendo como patrones climáticos y el área quemada, considerando los parámetros de precipitación, temperatura, humedad relativa mínima, velocidad de viento y el área quemada como tal. Esta ha permitido que se establezcan distintos índices de peligro de incendio, como el Energy Release Component y el Burn Index. Esta zonificación, como vemos más adelante, ¿sí? nos permite establecer esto que vemos en la gráfica en distintos colores, son las zonas en donde se ha establecido esta diferenciación en el territorio ecuatoriano. También los índices las variables que se han tomado en cuenta van relacionadas a la aplicación del modelo WRF, como indicábamos, es temperatura, precipitación, humedad, y aquellas que se calculan en el índice Haines, que es normalmente uno de los índices que se utilizan en las incidencias de los incendios forestales. Sí, se tiene previsto para el próximo año, 2024, realizar un taller de sistema de pronóstico de incendios forestales en el Ecuador, en donde se puede identificar fortalezas y oportunidades de mejora para la generación y transferencia de información. Indicaba el punto focal de este trabajo es Sandra Torres, precisamente, que nos acompaña en este grupo. Eso es un resumen de lo último que hemos trabajado acá en Ecuador, particularmente en INAMI, y a la interna de INAMI estamos trabajando precisamente en la estandarización de los formatos de boletines y alertas, y caminar a esta integración, como mencionaba Daniel, es un tema que no solamente tiene que ver a nivel externo, interinstitucional, sino también a la interna como país, para poder fijar de mejor manera la iniciativa que está prevista por OMM. Gracias. Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias, Edison. Excelente presentación. Vamos a proceder por tiempo con Kathy y ahora igual vamos a tener una sección de discusión. So, Kathy, can you present yours now?
Thank you. Are you hearing me?
Yes, clearly.
Okay, excellent. And good morning and good day to all. Thank you for allowing us to present here from the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology, the RA-IV, or in the Regional Training Center and Center of Excellence in Satellite Meteorology. Diego, you go ahead and share the slides. This is from a previous presentation, but just 2 days ago, but it does reflect exactly what we're doing in terms of early warning systems. Next slide, please. Okay, what are we doing in terms of early warning systems? We're trying to reduce the impacts of severe weather, be it localized severe weather, tropical cyclones, on our respective population. Next slide. What are those impacts? They can range, of course, from high winds and heavy rains and severe wet storms, particularly associated with tropical storms. But we could also look at things as drought. Drought is also looking at some of the climatological impacts that can affect our population. How are we going to address these in terms of both warning our public and in terms of giving them some early warnings on the advent of these situations? Next slide. What we need to do is to make our public ready to actually respond to these systems. And if they're ready, they can be responsive. And by improving their responsiveness, we can actually improve the resilience of our population. And that is not only to extreme weather, but also climate events. So what we did in Barbados and in our region is actually implement what we call something similar to the Weather Ready Nation in the US. Next slide, please. The concept of Weather Ready Nation is where communities are prepared for the response appropriate to these events. Weather Ready Nation is a strategic priority in building this community resilience in the face of increasing vulnerability to extreme weather, water, climate, and environmental threats. To build a Weather Ready Nation, as NOAA has done in the US, is to enhance impact-based decisions supported by support services and translating science and technology advances into forecast operations, applying social science research to improve communications and the usefulness of information, and expanding the dissemination efforts to achieve far-reaching readiness, responsiveness, and resilience. And this is what we're all trying to do in our region. And how are we going to do that? Is that we need to build weather and climate ready nations. And this is out of a bulletin WMO Bulletin in 2014. Next slide. To do this, we need to involve our public. We need their weather forecasting, our weather forecasting, to stress the potential of impacts. We need to communicate those impacts clearly to help people make smart decisions. And we need to engage the community as partners. And as we go forward with this, we're not only looking at what we do in terms of using better satellite information, employing those satellite information and putting out the impact-based forecast, but we also need to engage the community so that they understand clearly what we're saying so that they can actually be prepared. Next slide, please. So just a quick introduction to what was done in Barbados, and now it has been extended to many of the Caribbean states across the region, is that at the CIMH, the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology, we worked with the Barbados Met Service and the Department of Emergency Management with the support of NCAR in the US and NOAA to start the process of the Weather Ready Nation. Barbados Met Service and the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology would look at integrating new technologies and science to improve the National Weather Service operations. That included in increasing our weather networks, our observation networks, more automatic weather stations, improving our GEONETcast, as you'll see in a minute, our GEONET operations, improving how we receive satellite information, improving our radar network. So we're then improving our technology to both observe and forecast the weather, of course, including improving our models as well. When we have done that and we've improved those forecast operations, we then work with the disaster emergency management to improve their operations in terms of communication between the Barbados Met Service and the Department of Emergency Management to improve how the information is both received and disseminated to the public. Forecast now stressed the potential impacts to better support decision making. Primary hazards and their impacts and the appropriate responses were now summarized in what we call the impact-based matrix, which I'll demonstrate in a minute. And some of the presentations have already done that as well. And what we have implemented in now at least 6 of the states and the region is a common alert protocol, which is allowing direct messaging to the public through your cell phones, through your media houses, and so that the information is directly in an alert system. In case of an event, the public has direct knowledge. Next slide, please. So the Caribbean multi-hazard early warning system, and what we look in terms of, we tried to build on what we had in Barbados and developed what we call this multi-hazard early warning systems, again, coming out of guidelines from both WMO and our regional stakeholders. This now includes, we look at 4 main areas. 1, climate, developing a climate impact protocols to look at how climate events will affect our region. We also look at our hydrometeorological operations, looking at improving and expanding both our observations in terms of storms, floods, and those impacts, as well as in terms of messaging. We're introducing to a geological studies as well, especially when it deals with hydrology, because again, hydrology, again, with water and how water runs both above ground and underground will actually affect your hydrological parameters. And we're going to be introducing a marine component as well. Again, we are most of us again surrounded or affected by some form of coastal inundation, of coastal effects and coastal inundation, so that has to be part of it. So our MUSE, our multi-hazard warning systems, will be able to address a multitude of hazards, and those hazards may occur simultaneously or cascading or cumulative. So those have to be considered. And when we do that, now we're going to have impact-based forecasting and impact-based, and of course, financing. We need to get that support. So this requires that we now involved a lot of stakeholders, including the public, private, and academic, to actually get this going. Next slide, please. So in terms of the impact-based forecasting and risk assessment, we have now employed in many of the states the impact-based matrix, which looks at the likelihood of events versus the potential impacts. Again, as you can see on the left hand of the slide, so you're now infusing data, either models, observations, in actually to looking at the likelihood of this event, which goes from everywhere from very low to high, and you now have a color-coded green, and then you go from minimal, I don't know why I said minimal, minor, significant to severe weather events as you go up the scale in terms of potential impacts. The beauty about this scale, which I always, again, very impressed with it, is that now you can address your impacts to messaging. So you not only have a risk table, you also have a response table. And this framework now allows the messaging to actually now address those responses. So for example, if you have a minor event, for example, minor rainfall, which might only just wet the roads, your response would be, again, maybe just traffic will be minorly interrupted, small traffic flows or minor traffic flows interruption, compared to if you have a more significant event where you're having heavy rainfall, which will cause floods, your messaging will now be flooding, roads impassable, and those kind of messaging. So the public now is more aware of the impacts versus what the weather would be. And so this has been institutionalized in Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Antigua and Barbuda. It is soon to be implemented in the Bahamas as well as the Turks and Caicos Islands and Dominica. Next slide, please. And I've actually kind of preceded myself. This is messaging in terms of we have both the matrix and we have a response matrix, and where your public, usually green, will be aware that something is happening. Well, just there's no alert, sorry, green. If it's orange, it's be aware. If it's getting into darker orange, be prepared. Start getting your preparations to either evacuate or stay in place. And then you can actually have a response. You could actually have a response which when we have or take action when we get to the red. Next slide, please. So the Barbados weather and climate impact, in order to get the public aware, we actually did a video. This is similar to what was done in the GEONETCast, and the video basically looks at a basic script which uses a localized event, a localized weather event, and how that will impact something for us in the Caribbean, this large, in our case, this was a major festival, and see how that would affect and how the messaging would affect the scenario. This video was prepared and actually distributed on YouTube, and it's also been used in many of our strategic responses and our meetings with the public to actually get that scenario done. Just stepping back a minute, one of the most important things is getting your stakeholders involved as well. So what is involved in the process is actually having everyone in the room. And when I say everyone, that means your military, your administrative service, your media services, your ports, everyone in the room at some point, to actually have them involved in the decision making, and not only one meeting, but continuous meetings as you update your projects. Next one, please. So how does this work? This is actually now one of the successes that we've had, where we have an event. This was I believe in this case was a tropical storm approaching the area. We implemented the matrix. In this matrix, it was actually up to red. Barbados now has color-coded forecasts for the entire island, and those are based not only in terms of just the island itself, but also broken down into counties, or to be similar, so that different counties can be colored in different colors. We also use observational data. In this case, we were using river data to show where floods might actually take place. So now you're making a whole impact matrix and disaster risk reduction within the region, improving disaster risk reduction in the regions. Next slide, please. This particular event was actually really impactful in our December 2013 event, which actually happened on Christmas Eve, where we had a upper level trough moving into the area, causing excessive flooding across the islands of St. Vincent and St. Lucia. With the impact, in observations, flood informations coming out of St. Vincent and Dominica that triggered alerts that we were able to put in place and actually now send those information out to the different areas in St. Vincent. Unfortunately, there were a lot of landslides with this particular event, and so that we did have a few deaths, but the information was able to be disseminated and people were warned, especially on Christmas Eve when people normally don't listen to weather information. Next slide, please. One of the major goals or major improvements was the implementation of GEONETCast in the region. With the assistance of the US aid under the Strengthening Disaster and Climate Resilience in the Eastern Caribbean and Southern Caribbean, the US government helped with the implementation and installation of 7 GEONETCast systems across the region. What we here have is one of the last ones, which was actually had a symbolic handover in Grenada in March, February of this year. With this particular implementation now, our islands, especially small developing island states, have access to not only satellite data through the GEONETCast, but also many observational and model data that they can now develop into their own program. Now, to help with that development, and thanks to Diego, we had a workshop in March of this year. Oh, sorry, May. It was May, not May of this year, and it was a 6-day workshop where we did or basically covered everything GEONETCast. We looked at installation, maintenance, download of your GEONETCast satellite data, manipulation through Python, dissemination, and model overlays. And so now you have a tool that even the small developing island states can use to help with their early warning systems. We're hoping there's only one more island that it has not completely been installed, but now this is a successful use of the GEONETCast data to help with early warning systems. So again, thanks to all who helped, including the American government, for their support in terms of funding this application. Next slide, please. Of course, we need to have training, and with the implementation of the WMO severe weather forecasting program across each regions, the eastern states, we do have now the implementation of a monitoring system, which will be under the severe weather forecasting program. Shared by Meteo France and a CMO under CIMH, we have now a compilation of different services to actually help with the monitoring and the use of both operational and satellite and model data to have an early warning systems for the development and reporting of severe weather events. These events are not your tropical cyclones, so they're not really covered by the National Hurricane Center. But with this particular network across the region, we can actually alert each other and basically now demonstrate or basically put forward early warnings to our public. Next slide, please. So this now is going to raise the operational capabilities, particularly of our regional meteorological services, where we have regional monitoring, including NWP access, guidance products, and training, which is provided by the CIMH. In terms of the national level, you're now going to use that to improve their multi-hazard warning systems. We're strengthening regional centers and using their regional centers, including CIMH. We have the assistance of Miami, NHC at Miami, and of course, the Caribbean Meteorological Organization headquarters in Trinidad and Tobago. So this ensures that any threat of, especially now since these severe weather systems seem to be very almost nowcasting events, we need to have more timely and efficient response to these. And so we're looking at implementing this, or has been implemented, and we're continuing to move from strength to strength to hope to have this whole system operational within the next year. So this is, again, including multi-hazard events, but usually on a severe weather small scale. Next slide, please. I believe that will be almost my last slide. Yes, training. And finally, we have had a series of workshops, again, supported not only by the regional centers, but also internationally. We've had support for, in 2018, we had a numerical weather prediction workshop, particularly dealing with these NWPs in terms of the advent of severe weather. We've had several satellite workshops in 2019 and in 2021 and 2022. And we've had two as well, what we call test beds workshops, where we had forecasters from across the region work with each other in an operational test bed to actually see how to improve their communications between them and include the dissemination of weather information and forecast. So it's a holistic event, holistic operations, basically, again, improving to see how we can improve our early warning systems across the region. And thus far, it has been extremely successful, and we're looking to move from strength to strength. Thank you very much. I hope I wasn't too fast. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kathy.
Daniel has a question.
I have questions. Hi, Kathy. How are you?
I am good, thank you.
I have many questions, but I would like to go with a couple of ones. The project we said about the weathercast, the GEONETCast stations. Is this close, or is it possible to enhance that? Because are there many countries? A couple of weeks ago, I was in Jamaica, and they don't have any GEONETCast station there. Or right now, we have new members from Guyana and Suriname who also don't have these facilities. And considering that all of those countries are from CMO, not sure if something can be done in terms of helping them.
I can answer that really quickly. One, we just completed our CMO meeting, and one of the incentives is actually to get funding to have GEONETCast stations actually implemented across the region. So our only fallback now is funding. However, CIMH does have an MOU with NOAA to actually now house and actually lead with the distribution of the GEONETCast receivers. We will soon be receiving a cache of receivers. You send those who are interested will actually send email requests to CIMH, and we will help with the dissemination of receivers to respective interested regions in the region offices in the region. But right now, we're just hoping to get funding. Unfortunately, with the initial SDR project, it was only for eastern states, and we do understand that this is a limitation, but sometimes funding comes with some limitations, but we're hoping to seek different funding to actually help our colleagues in Jamaica, Belize, and Guyana.
Okay, thank you very much. Then we can continue the discussion with the severe weather forecast program, but it's out of the scope of this meeting. So we keep in touch, Emma.
Of course, and actually you can talk to Arlene. We're having an update on the severe weather forecast program in December.
Okay, this will be very good, and I would like to be involved on that. Thank you,
yes.
Kathy.
You're most welcome. I saw another question pop up really quickly.
Yeah, it's Bernie.
Yeah, you probably know what my question is. So you have these workshops. How do you keep people engaged and not forget what they've learned in the workshops?
Okay, that is something that we're going to address, particularly with the test bed. What we've done with the test bed is this is one way that they have to continuously work. The first test bed was in 2019. Immediately after that, in 2020, we had the Eureka workshop with the same forecasters were actually implemented their operations where they provided forecast for the Eureka project, and they had to communicate with each other and also present on a daily basis forecast for the project. We actually now followed that up in 2023 with looking at the Eureka workshop, actually complementing the severe weather forecast program to see how the products that they were using, how they've been used over the last 2 years, how they can improve in using them. And from this workshop, we're hoping to develop not only a paper, but also a text for operations across the region. So we're continuously trying to improve on the working and that, and having the forecasters work together to actually use these different models and products.
Okay, and so do you encourage anything else? Monthly sessions?
Of course, Bernie. Yes, we do. We do have, of course, sorry, Bernie, I should mention, we do have the monthly weather discussions in where you actually use these products, again, hosted by Sarah and Bernie. And actually now the lead is Jose Galzat out of the international desk. Now you actually see how you're using all of those products, and especially with the satellite data, how you can utilize the GOES-R products, GOES-R as well as other model data in your daily forecast. So that is one of the ways that we do that. Of course, sorry about that, Bernie. Thanks for the reminder.
Yes, I can see Oriana is raising her hand.
Yes, hi everybody. This is Oriana. I just wanted to, well, first of all, thank Kathy Ann for her presentation. That was great, as well as the colleague from Ecuador. But I just wanted to jump in from the first question regarding the GeoNetcast and the opportunities that Kathy Ann had laid out, and just note that I'm the point of contact as well from the NOAA side, helping Kathy Ann move this agreement forward, and the possibility to be able to distribute some more GeoNetcast in general products, I would say. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thanks.
Thank you. And again, thank you very much for the support from NOAA for doing this and to helping us improve the GeoNetcast spread across the region. I've been introduced to this. Bernie and I were introduced in a number of years ago, and I'm really enthused and really determined to have these GeoNetcast stations across the region, because it actually is a very inexpensive way to actually help our region improve in their communications and satellite data. So thank you again.
Shamal?
Yes. Any other questions? Oh, there's another one. Shamal Clark. Hi, Shamal.
Yes, hi, Kathy. How are you?
I am fine.
This might be something I probably should know, but just for clarity, so the GeoNetcast project, is it only essentially through a voluntary process, or is it something that can be purchased from let's say a country interested? Because I know it's being pushed obviously for small island developing states, but we don't fall necessarily in that category. So is there any way we could obtain that?
Okay, so I will tell you there are two aspects of that, and Diego is the right person to help you. GeoNetcast, if you have the right technical support in your country, can actually be a very inexpensive installation, because the most expensive part would be actually getting the receivers and the dishes. If you have the technical support to actually buy the components, and it's there is on the GeoNetcast page how everything can be done and purchased, and Diego can actually help me with that. Thank you, Diego. Excellent. Everything can be done at a relatively expensive if you have the technical support to do it. When it becomes expensive, if you have to get a turnkey system where you have to involve a company to actually come and install it, when it could get astronomically more expensive. But if you have these systems, and now that we have the receivers at CIMH, you can actually get a receiver from CIMH with the cooperation of NOAA to actually have to deal with your installation. And so, if again, looking at the website, talking to the community, GEONETcast community, talking to CIMH, it can be done.
All right, thank you very much. I'll have that conversation and follow up, I guess, with Diego and John as well.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kathy.
Most welcome. I'm glad to assist.
Okay, for the sake of time, we're going to move on. We're going to skip some of the slides. We're going to go back to those later. So we're going to move on to the case from Gabi. So Gabi, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Let me share. It's not prepared presentation, but I wanted to show what we're doing. And of course, and first, and very important, to thank Argentina for the information that they provide us so fast, so timely, and good information that we could use it. And well, let me start in the beginning. Yeah, for those who doesn't know, Acapulco is one of the biggest resorts in Mexico. Nowadays, it's not that important. Riviera Maya, it's becoming more and more important, but it is a large city with more than 1 million people living there, and it has never had a hurricane that impacts so directly and so strong. It was a 5-category hurricane that developed in less than 24 hours from a tropical storm to a category 5. So the hotels and the people there weren't really prepared. They had never had such an event. So the alerts were not perhaps as good as they should. And well, it was a big disaster for a large population. So let me show what we have here is what the information we gather, and we gather it at a request from the National Prevention Center, because we are a laboratory that provides information, but we are not in charge of giving any alerts or any decision making. We're just a scientific installation that provides information. But at the very first moment, we received a request from the CENAPRED, it's called, the National Disaster Prevention Center. So we gather some information from Acapulco. Let me show you very, very fast. This is the Acapulco, the traditional, the old part of Acapulco, and this is a newest part. I think you're looking at my presentation, yeah? The visualization system. Okay, thank you. And we gather all kinds of information. For instance, this is an GEOI, I believe it's GEOI, yeah. And after the disaster, and this was provided by the Mexican government, and we got all that information together, but we also share the information by WMS services and FTP sites as well, because some of the information might be really heavy, very space-consuming information like this one. So you can see there's no palm trees that were before the disaster were very, very dense vegetation that was already gone. Yeah, as you can see, things like that. But let me go to the the information we gather information from other sources like INEGI, the National Geographic Information Institution, and information from the laboratory itself, like day-night lights before the event and days after. I'm going to skip all the sequence. That's 10 days after, as you can see. It's because not all the electricity has come back, but there's no activity. The main activity is tourism, and there's no hotel, so there's not much activity. And we needed to have radar images. We knew we needed, because it's a very it has very high mountains around, very steep slopes in places where the population is. Let me turn off this and put again the GUI so you can have an idea of it takes a moment to load the image. But well, let me tell you, these parts are in the mountains, and this is the bay. So the problem is, as you can see from the images, the places that are flooded, and there's a lot of places, perhaps not that big. Water wasn't the problem. The problem was the wind. So, but it made landslides and very important, not flooding, it was like mud, not really water, running water. But the problem is huge. So right now I don't have, well, I didn't process the image. And I asked Emmanuel Zúñiga, who did the processing for the Argentinian images, and he sent me this. Let me see. Are you looking at the document? Well, the images were used for determining wet and inundated areas in the Acapulco Bay. And the images already have some pre-processing. So most of the processing was focused in establishing the criteria to determine where it was wet or flooded. So, well, it was the images cover a larger area that in this moment we only focus in the Acapulco area. We know there must be a lot of damage upstream, yeah. So, but right now we focus in that area. So we there were some thresholds established to extract the information about where it was flooded. That's what we did. And the process to get the image was we contact WMO, we contact Diego and Marcel, and they contact us with CONAI. CONAI said that we need the contact was through our space agency in Mexico. We contacted a space agency and we got the images just immediately. I mean, the same day we had the information. So it was really, really fast way to get it. We really appreciate that we could get the information. And as I said, we are not a decision-making institution. We only provide the information, but we were able to gather very, very good information. It's very useful information, and we're really thanks. We also received a lot of support from NOAA and support from NASA as well. So we were able to gather all the information. So all the institutions right now they have. And as well, we have an airplane that and we are already integrating the information from the aerial flight, the aerial photographs. But we don't have the area right now. They haven't processed part of the information of this area. We don't have all the area, but we have a good area. So just to the end, let me just show how the hurricane was a huge hurricane. And this is just when it was going to make a landfall. But before that, it was, as you can see, it's the same day, and it's only a few hours. And it's Acapulco is right here. It's right here. So it was just somebody told me that it was one event in Jose Galvez yesterday told me it was kind of one event in a century, something like that. And this is one day before, just one day. So it was a huge event. So that's what I have here today to share. And thank you very much for your support.
Thank you very much, Gabby.
Thank you very much, Gabby.
This is very
Go ahead,
this
Diego.
is a very, very nice example of efficient interaction and communication between SDR members and satellite operators in the region, right? In this case, LANOT, SDR, and CALMet from Argentina. And as Gabby mentioned, between the initial request in the SDR mailing list and the data access, it took less than a day. So this is great, and I'm always impressed on how fast and efficiently LANOT can develop this processing and visualization solutions. So thank you very much, Gabby, for your feedback and demonstration.
No, thank you. Thank you. I'm really glad to belong to this group and to be, and that it made something really, really useful in this event. And this event is the starting point, I'm sure, of a better coordination between institutions in Mexico. So it's a well, it's very tragic, and but we hope in the future it helps to make a better response to this kind of events.
We have a question from Bernie. Bernie?
Right. I wrote it in the chat as well. You know, one thing that I'm often amazed at is on one hand, meteorologists will use the SAR data to estimate ocean winds, and then on the other hand, the environmentalists will remove the clouds or look at the land surface. And you present it looking at the land surface. So I was wondering, is anybody looking at that SAR data to estimate the winds right before, if there were any passes to help us better estimate the winds right before landfall?
Yeah. Well,
Or do you know?
No. Well, what as I know, as I think we don't have any information of that kind in the precise dates where the event was. We need other kind of radar information, meteorological radar, yeah, to do so. And we don't have in the Pacific Ocean. In the Pacific coast in Mexico, we don't have. We have one or two. There were not enough, and the from the satellite images, I don't know how much information we can get, and the temporal resolution doesn't help a lot. So those are the things that we need to improve. We need to start thinking how we can get that data as often as it's needed, so we can really make measurements about the wind and things like that. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I may follow up with you a little more because, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bernie. Yeah. I start trying to get as much information I can. Because we are in a group that we're at the national level, that we will try to make a understand what happened and to make it a better response for the next time. So I will contact you as well.
Yeah, and it's a challenge here, even in the US. We've had rapid intensification and yeah. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we don't have any other, let me check. We don't have other questions. So thank you very much, Gabby. And going back to the early warnings for all initiative, and considering everything we have heard, Marcial will make some comments, and we will have an open discussion on some preliminary ideas for a working plan on how the SDR group and other initiatives we are involved with could contribute to the goals of the early warnings for all. And after this introduction from Marcial, we really would like to hear your ideas and suggestions in the open discussion. Okay? So Marcial?
Yep. So what I wanted to say, and I'm going to repeat some of this in Spanish a little bit later. I think we need to have a plan for this because the early warnings for all is coming up quickly, so we need to be prepared. And I have created a plan that we can share with you in more detail, but here's some of the slides. We have to consider the VLAB strategy and the early warning systems that we have to integrate it. There is some insight there that you can read later on. I'm not gonna be reading that right now, but let's move to the next one, Diego. So basically, in these 4 columns, we have the 4 areas that you need to get to early warnings for all. And we know this because we do this in the satellite data requirements group often. So on the first one, there is the data gathering and distribution. And this is very simple. If you have no data, there is no utilization. So we need to improve on this. And that means we need to get a constant flow of data. And this is not just one method. I mean, having a GeoNetcast would definitely help, but it's not enough. If you have a GeoNetcast and you have high winds and the antenna gets de-aligned, then you have no data, and then you're done. So the idea here is to have redundancy. So you can have a GeoNetcast and an internet-based dissemination method that you can use. Also, if you move to column B, there's the data processing. So you get data, but you have no products, no availability, then no utilization. So similarly, we need to create capacity there to process data and make it available. In column C, we have the interpretation. So now that you have the products and the availability of the products, then you need to interpret the data. And I think this is the one that we do really well right now, because we have lots of training in the region. We have NOAA training, EUMETSAT training, VLAB training, universities, institutions training. So we do this pretty good, but we need to improve on A and B to get to this one safely. And lastly, the impact and utilization. I think Kathy clarified this quite clearly. But once we have it all, we need to utilize it. And here's where all the other institutions that Danielle mentioned come in. So this is just an idea of how we can move to help A and B by fulfilling the VLAB objectives there. And I actually have in the next slide, Diego, we have another one, right? So we can take actions to do this. And one of the actions that we have, it's for the members, promote redundancy by informing that there is satellite and internet dissemination methods that we can use. And we have already achieved these with some countries, and we need to foster it in another ones. And our way of doing that is to have a pilot program in a region to assess this and properly implement both solutions, this dual approach of gathering data. And there is some others. I'm not going to read them all because you can all review them. But the idea is to have this ready in 1 to 2 years, according to WMO, to actually achieve the capacity to utilize it. And if we have this goal of early warnings for all, we need to move quickly. If this is going to take a long time, these 5 years are going to go by and we're not going to be ready. So we need to be ready. Me gustaría tal vez devolverme al anterior, Diego, para decirlo en español, para quienes lo quieran ver nuevamente en español. Tenemos 4 columnas, que es básicamente lo que hacemos en el grupo. que es obtener datos, procesarlos, interpretarlos y luego utilizarlos. En el primero, si no tenemos datos, no tenemos nada. Entonces, tenemos que tener una forma de obtener datos. Y ciertamente, tener un método como el GeoNetCast, pues va a funcionar, pero no va a ser suficiente. Si tenemos un GeoNetCast y se desalinea en una tormenta, pues no tenemos datos nuevamente. Entonces, tener datos de fuentes redundantes es muy necesario. Después, en la segunda, si tenemos datos, tenemos que ser capaces de producir los productos, de generar productos y de ponerlos a disposición de quien los necesita. Esa de ahí, si no llegamos a eso, pues no podemos utilizarlos tampoco. Y en la tercera, esa creo que es la que hacemos mejor en nuestras regiones, tanto en la 3 como en la 4, que tenemos muchos entrenamientos con NOAA, con EUMETSAT y con otras agencias. Y con esas, pues tenemos gente muy capacitada en la interpretación de productos. Lo que pasa es que muchas veces, como ya hemos visto en los datos que tenemos, pues se acceden por internet de manera web. Y eso es muy lento. Muchas veces va atrás por 40, 50 minutos, entonces no permite un análisis en tiempo real. Y en la última es donde todas las agencias tienen que unirse para llegar a alertas tempranas. Ya una vez que usted tiene datos, productos y tiene interpretación adecuada, pues tiene que utilizarlos. Y ahí es donde todas las otras agencias entran y se conectan, como lo mencionó Daniel. A la siguiente, por favor. Y aquí hay varias de las acciones y ideas que podemos tomar para poder trabajarlo. No las voy a leer todas, ustedes las pueden leer, pero la idea de estas acciones es que en las diferentes columnas que tenemos podamos trabajar activamente para lograr esta alerta temprana para todos en el tiempo. Eso se espera que lo hagamos en 1 o 2 años y por eso vamos a trabajar en un plan piloto donde los países que tengan interés pues pueden participar del plan piloto. Todavía estamos diseñándolo, pero espero que en menos de 6 meses ya estemos trabajando en la implementación para poder garantizar esta obtención dual de datos de diferentes métodos para que nos garanticemos, lo primero, acceso a datos y después cubrir las otras columnas de la derecha como A, B, C y D para poder lograr las alertas tempranas. Creo que eso es todo, Diego. Entonces, queríamos abrir un espacio de discusión. Queremos escuchar qué opinan de estas ideas. Queremos escuchar sus ideas y sus propuestas. ¿Cómo ven estos tiempos, estos plazos de 1, 2, 5 años para lograr estas alertas tempranas para todos? Now we move to an open discussion. We would like to hear from you what you think of these ideas that I just presented, and the times that we have. 1, 2, and 5 years is not long for some things, but it's pretty short time for others. So we would like to hear what you think. So please don't be shy, and let's have a discussion about this.
And I just would like to mention that everything that has been presented is available in a draft document, right, Marcial? That we will share with the SDR group. So we can edit it and you can make your comments. But now we would like to hear your preliminary comments on these thoughts, right? Do you think it's viable? Do you have anything to add onto these actions or any comments or suggestions? How do you think the SDR may contribute to this effort? We would like to hear from you.
Diana?
Marcial, this is Steve Goodman. I have a question.
Hello. Okay.
Go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, between the work that our training group has done at NOAA and the work that Bernie's been doing through VLab, I guess I don't quite understand your slide there regarding item 3 or topic. Yeah. No interpretation, no utilization. Are we falling short, not doing the right thing, or what's the gap there?
No, let me explain this. In column C, when it says no interpretation, is if you don't achieve interpretation, you can never utilize it. So if you don't have interpretation, you don't have utilization. That's what it means, the red X next to it.
So
I
we've
said
been trying
that
to address that, I think, and I'm just wondering where we're falling short.
Oh, where we're falling short. yeah, we can, I think from the satellite requirements group, we can see that we have countries without members in the group. We have countries without training. So looking at the perspective from all the countries in the region, I think we're not reaching to all of them yet. So in that perspective, we have to members to include in the group and reach with interpretation training. But by the way, I said this is the best one we have, the column that we have the best development due to these trainings. I mean, the work that Noah does and Bernie does, it's the best one yet, because in interpretation, I think this is our best one.
Yeah, one long-standing issue we've had is we can push things out, but there has to be a receiver at the other end. And I know, for example, Nicaragua is one example, maybe Venezuela as well, where, you know, the reception of what we can offer just doesn't seem to have been there as some of the other places where we even get oversubscribed to the training. So we don't know the answer, but maybe you have some ideas. Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, we work hard to get new members, and I think this week we managed to get three or four countries into the group. So I think we are making progress. Of course, we would like to have them all at once, but we cannot do that. And definitely by having more members in the satellite requirements group, we can foster these interpretation trainings. But it's not enough in the sense that if, as you can see in the first one, if you have no data, you can never achieve utilization.
Bernie, you have a question or comment?
What I was going to say is a lot of what you've put here comes from what has been built up. And so I think it's possible that we can achieve more results in the next 2 years, because a lot of the framework has been laid. As has been mentioned, there are a lot of different countries have different needs. And, you know, some of the ways to address it is just to have some more dialogue about these were some of our challenges and these were the ways that they were solved. Have some of those types of stories available, as well as maybe some of the things I see, say, for example, with Nicaragua, sometimes a country is not participating because of political reasons, which we don't have control over, unfortunately. And although we, you know, so like there was a period early on in the early 2000s where we had great participation from Nicaragua, and then a gap. And now we're starting to see a little bit more. So there is some hope. So one of the ways is, how do we break down some of the barriers? You know, maybe even including more of the social science aspects that Kathy Ann brought up. You know, how as a group can we communicate, say, the science or the social aspects of it, because we're after the same goal, is to help our warnings reach those who need it. So I think, you know, realizing that, you know, people will take this in and think about it, or we're encouraging them to, and then maybe have a discussion in like a month instead of 6 months. Or I can't remember when the last time you had it. Was it 3 months ago? Probably. Yeah. Okay. So maybe have just a check-in, you know, on what have people learned, and specifically focus on this. I'm not sure if we had a solution, we would be there already. It's a complex process because humans are involved. So.
Thanks, Bernie. Daniel?
Yes, I would like to complement what Bernie was saying. Of course, political situation is sometimes an issue, But also I believe that we can take advantage of, for example, right now, we have two new members. One is Guyana and Suriname. They belong to CMO, the Caribbean Meteorological Organization. So we need to find partners to go forward with this plan. Partner in the region. There's also some other institutions in Central America who can help with that. Just wondering, nobody can do everything alone. So this is something to be explored, I would say. And it's not but I guess that, it's an avenue. Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. Any other comments?
I don't think we have any other comments, but in a
Yes.
summary, do you have any comments?
Oh, sí,
Diana?
Yes,
Diana.
Okay.
Only I want to say that for me is it's possible to obtain this the purpose or this plan, ¿no? This working plan. Para mí es importante y este plan se podría realizar. Como dice Bernie, depende de las capacidades y de cada caso en particular, de cada país. Y sobre todo, lo más importante, y creo que es donde más hay que hacer hincapié, es en la obtención de los datos, porque hay mucha diferencia entre países que pueden obtener los datos ya sea de una estación GEONETCast o de una estación receptora directa, pero hay muchos países que no tienen esa posibilidad. Y creo que ahí está el desafío. Ese es el desafío más importante, porque el otro lo podemos ir como cubriendo. Disculpen en Spanish.
No, está bien, no hay problema. El grupo de ahí habla los dos idiomas. Gracias, Diana. Yo creo que ese punto es muy importante y creo que se conecta con lo que dijo Bernie, ¿verdad? De que todos los casos son diferentes. Entonces, por eso es que estoy proponiendo lo del plan piloto con algunos países para ir conociendo cómo vamos a enfrentarnos a esto. Porque no podemos jamás proponer la misma solución para todos. Entonces, creo que un plan piloto que nos muestre cómo lograrlo con algunos, obtener casos de éxito, como dijo Bernie, y comunicar los casos de éxito, creo que es una buena manera de hacer un acercamiento a solucionar este problema. Y sí, jamás todos van a solucionarse de la misma manera, pero podemos buscar maneras en común y poner ejemplos para que otros los puedan seguir. Daniel.
Sí, justamente para proponer algo concreto en este plan piloto, por ejemplo, creo que el caso de Guyana, I turn to English, excuse me. I believe that for a concrete case, for example, right now we have Guyana in early warning for all. So this is something that should occur. They should have access to satellite data. So, and they should have access to that data soon. So I believe that this could be a good case study. Of course, we don't have anything yet, but need to find out, okay, how we can help. It's pretty challenging, and Satesh, I know that can help us because he's really involved in all the process in the infrastructure in the country. So, this is something concrete we can do. Just an idea.
Okay, thanks, Daniel.
Okay, thank you. So in a summary, we can achieve more results in the next couple of years because a lot of the framework has been laid. So it's a matter of communication and regional partnerships, right? And maybe Guyana could be a nice case study to begin with, right? Excellent.
Absolutely.
Okay, any other comments?
Hi
Satesh?
guys, Yes. Yeah, I think it will be a great case study for us, especially in Guyana, because I'm seeing on the slide there the type of hazards that we have, and unfortunately, we don't have. They're working towards getting some early warning systems, especially with flooding. That's one of our major concerns, and another one that we're having problem with is also thunderstorms, because for the past year, we have had a couple of cases of where persons actually died from lightning. Yeah, so we have
Right.
like last incident happened in as recently as September. We had like 9 persons that got injured and like 2 died from a lightning incident that we had. We unfortunately were not able to get those warnings in time to those persons because of the location, and these areas are not really accessible, so they don't really have any type of communication to them. We saw the system that was moving in, and we did send out the warnings, but unfortunately they were unable to get it in a timely manner. So 9 persons were injured. Of those 9, I think 2 passed away, unfortunately. And that was early as I think it was September or August of this year.
Okay, thank you, Satish. I think we can get in touch with you and start working towards this, to achieving this connectivity. Thanks.
Excellent.
very
Thanks,
much.
Satish. Thank you. Thank you very much for your comments. And well, this preliminary work plan will be shared with the mailing list and the SDR group, and we can keep interacting and keep discussing this proposal. And we already have 2 hours of meeting, and maybe we can use 10 minutes more for the GEONETCast-Americas updates and the training, upcoming training events. So, John, could you please share your updates on GEONETCast-Americas?
Sure, and I'll be brief since you're running out of time. I'll bring up a few things that are of interest to some of the people in the group, and then we'll go into a little bit of some of the items that we're adding to the broadcast. And I just saw something in the text from Carol from Trinidad. Are you talking about a GNCA terminal that you're working on receiving?
I think it's a GRB, but I'm not sure. Carol?
Okay, curious.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember it was a
Okay.
GRB.
It's a GRB.
The GRB, okay. All right, so of interest to Gabriella, next week we'll be hosting 2 meetings with Mexican customers to try and look into issues with some of the ground stations. We'll have one meeting with the government customers and then another meeting with the civilian customers. These meetings will be on Tuesday, the 21st at 1300 Mexico City time, and then Wednesday at 10 in the morning Mexico City time. I bet, Diego, you'd probably be interested in attending those. We'll want to suss out whether the problems are equipment problems or software problems. GNCA people here in NOAA are also closely watching the upcoming Working Group 3 on tsunami-related services for the Carib EWS working groups. We are very concerned about making sure that our warnings and advisories flow and that we have them documented. Warnings and advisories, we can prioritize those. You know, on our broadcast, we're able to prioritize the products so that certain things go out before other things, and make sure that the warnings and advisories make sure the warnings and advisories go first. We already have been sending tsunami warning products, and we've been using the GNCA terminals to determine the timing of the products. How quickly between when we send the products and when a customer receives it, and it's actually been pretty good. So we have a channel set aside specifically for warnings and advisories. And so we'll be keeping an eye on those working groups. Oriana and her team will be leading that, and I hope to participate, but this will be through Oriana's team that'll be handling that. In response to Kathy Ann mentioned the CIMH NOAA memorandum of agreement for distributing those terminals. Also, let us know if you have any issues with that, and let Diego and I know if we can help out with that. And some of the things that we're adding to the broadcast, Diego was very, back in July, collected quite a few requests from customers of what we could add. The biggest one was the 0.5 kilometer resolution band 2 imagery. We deleted the 1 kilometer band 2 imagery, and we've been successfully transmitting the 0.5 kilometer imagery. We have some other products on the list to add. Oceanography products like altimetry, coral bleaching and heat stress, gap fill, chlorophyll. And and then some atmospheric pollution products. We'll probably hit the atmospheric pollution products first, the dust, particle size 2.5, the carbon dioxide, those kind of things, because I think they're more readily available. And one of my priorities, I would like to upgrade our radar imagery, especially if we can get this done before next hurricane season. This was set off by a request from the Dominican Republic for better imagery, and we're learning through talk with the customers that the file types that we send may not be conducive to modern overlays, that kind of thing. So we're looking into that, and then we're going to try and upgrade our radar imagery. And then lastly, I noticed Diana Marina Rodriguez is online here. We had a request from Argentina for the Antarctic sector from 90° west to 10° west and below 60° south, polar orbiter imagery. Argentina is concerned about volcano watch and warnings. So we're going to try and upload our first images. We created a channel specifically for that sector. We're going to test that this week with one product, probably the ash loading and ash height product. And then once we're sure that those subscriptions work, we're going to add the rest of the products that Argentina requested, because we've noticed we don't have anything south of 60°. And that's it, Diego. I didn't want to hold up too long because I noticed we're running a little bit late. Did anybody have any questions for GNCA? Please feel free to forward your requests, forward your comments to Diego or me, and we'll Diego and I. If there's a request sent to Diego, he sends it to me. If there's a request sent to me, I send it to Diego. So we communicate very closely on that.
Thank you very much, John. A lot of product additions in the GeoNetcast-Americas, and I'm very happy to hear that we will be interacting with the Mexican users regarding the maintenance of their stations. They have a lot of stations there, and it will be very nice to have them active again.
I'm glad to hear Kathy Ann is making progress down to the Caribbean with that after that MOA.
Okay, thank you. And this is another very nice example of interaction between our community. An official request during the latest face-to-face meeting, and NOAA made the changes, and our colleagues from El Salvador are already processing and visualizing this information. Very nice example of coordination. And now let's finish. We will leave the Latin American meteorological satellite for the next meeting, and we will finish with the updates on capacity building activities. Bernie, can you please share your slides?
Let me see. Do you have, you know, I forgot to open it. Do you have that handy? Let me see.
Let me check.
Because I'm trying to, okay, here, I got it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Let me share the screen.
How you stop sharing?
Share. Just do the whole screen. Okay, are you seeing it?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so this was the first, I can't remember how many slides were put together by Sherry Morris, who's works with NOAA on and I forget what the acronym PRO stands for, the PRO team. And I'm Bernie. I'm with CIRA, the Cooperative Institute for Research in the Atmosphere, and also a WMO VLab co-chair. Let's see. So the first one is the GOES-R Data Jam that took place in November, and Marcial and Diego were both involved in this. And they can probably provide more details than I can. One of the things they did was they had two challenges for students or participants to get together in teams and produce a result. And they're listed here: visualize the view and cloud computing clouds. And so the first place award went to Team 4. And you could see here's the list of those participants in that. I'll let you, in the interest of time, I'll let you take a look at the slides as they come through. I'll make another point about one of the participants in each group as we're coming up. So this was the first place award for challenge number 1. It's a great way to engage participants and get them to use the data. Okay, so challenge 2 was leveraging GOES-R observations for near real-time monitoring of weather hazards over the continental US. And here is a list of the participants here, and I'll make another comment on the participants a little later. Okay, so that's something recent. The next GOES-R data jam on how to utilize the data, how to take it from what has been described already, the data that comes in, how do you process it, how do you display it? And that's right before we go, how do you interpret it? So the next one will be in March, and if you're interested, you can send an email to this email address, the GOES-R Hackathon, and they'll provide you information when it becomes available. There'll be the American Geophysical meeting in December coming up, and Sherry will be presenting some oral and poster sessions on data access, as well as the GOES-R data jam. In January at the American Meteorological Society meeting, they'll have a hybrid short course. So the registration is open, and the link will be available when this presentation is made available. There'll also be an electronic poster and a regular poster. The electronic posters are before the actual meeting on January 28th. Okay. And on the horizon, a Spanish workshop in July of 2024 hosted by the Paraguay Meteorological Service. And some more information will come on that when we know it. I'm not sure if that's totally in person or will be hybrid, and I forgot to ask Sherry. The next one in November is a English-speaking one for a tropical weather event, looking at more in-depth on Tropical Storm Philippe. And this is right now planned for November 2024. The exact dates have not been set yet, but it partners with the CIMH in Barbados and the Caribbean Meteorological Organization. And then also the third thing is a satellite application nowcasting training workshop that will be in English, hosted by partners at in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and in Brazil by the University of Sao Paulo. In August of 2025. So that's looking almost a year and a half out. And I'd like to also say, hey, we have these monthly regional focus group sessions that help connect some of the imagery and products and how we use them. And also develop community, because we tend to hear from different parts of Central and South America and the Caribbean and different challenges. So our next one is next week, next Tuesday, at 16 UTC, and you can go to this link to get the registration. We also post them on the VLab training calendar and through WMO and the learning events. So here are 2 other events. And I'm thinking you can also find it off the VLab webpage. So here's the information. Oh, the other thing is that, you know, how this works in terms of people participating. And we had a member from the first place team that I noticed that person had participated in 33 of our monthly sessions, and one of the members from the second place team has participated in 13 sessions. So as near as I can tell. So there's a lot of linkages and cross participation, and it's a great way to build knowledge and expand our community. The other thing is this is the final day of the Community for the Advancement of Learning in Meteorology and Related Disciplines. Here's the link. I heard the content will be open to the public in a few weeks in terms of the presentations. And so you will be encouraged, you can go and look at the content. And many members from VLab and probably even a few people on this call are participating in that. So I think that's all my slides, yes. And back to you, Diego.
Thanks, Bernie. Marcial and I had the opportunity to record some sessions for the GOES-R Data Jam. And one of the things I was impressed with was the international participation. Many international students, including students from Brazil. And that's great. I think of the 30 final participants, 20 of them were international, which is great. So we'll be looking forward to the next Data Jam in 2025. Do we have any other comments on training, questions? Okay. Before we finish the call, do you have any other business or do you have any other requests, comments, or updates? Carol commented that they have in Trinidad and Tobago, they have finally started on the ground station acquisition, and the project is expected to be completed in March next year. Excellent. And this is going to be completed in time for the 2024 hurricane season and will largely aid our use. Excellent. Okay. All right, so thank you very much for your participation and for your contributions and comments. We really appreciate it. Muchísimas gracias a todos. And all the presentations and minutes and the recording will be available soon in the group's webpage. Thank you very much, and let's keep interacting and working in the proposed actions until our next teleconference. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Gracias a todos.